There are some things in life that just shouldn't be forgotten, like bringing your keys when you leave the house, setting your fantasy lineup, and most importantly, having Hidden Valley Ranch to watch the game. Especially if wings are on the menu. Those creamy, zesty Cool Ranch flavors take each spicy, savory bite to an unforgettable level. Hidden Valley Ranch, only serious about flavor.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to take an adventure with rugged capability and commanding style. Check out the Honda Ridgeline, Pilot, or CR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Pilot, a 1.99% APR on a 2025 Ridgeline, or a 2.99% APR on a 2025 CR-V.
See dealer for financing details.
Hey, Kristen, how's it tracking?
With Carvana Value Tracker.
What else?
Oh, it's tracking. In fact, Value Surge Alert trucks up 2.5%. Vans down 1.7.
Just as predicted.
Mm-hmm.
So, we gonna...
I don't know. Could sell, could hold.
The power to always know our car's worth.
Exhilarating, isn't it?
Tracking.
Always know your car's worth with Carvana Value Tracker.
Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Carm Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Empire Media, AMPIRE. Always much appreciated when you tune in, and don't forget you can read my work on ESPN.com. And if you want to become a club member, go to the Empire Media YouTube page, see the word join, click on there, go from there. And you gold members, I will be doing a private Zoom for you Friday night this week. Friday night. So anyways, getting some family out of town, and I'll take care of you gold members Friday night, 7:30. So anyway, as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm joined by the voice of the Commanders, Bram Weinstein. One day, less than a day after the Commanders clinched a playoff spot. Bram, my eyes are still my eyes feel really heavy right now because I think maybe I got about 2 hours sleep. How about you?
Yeah. Let's see, by the time I actually got home earlier than I thought I would because, the traffic was kind of gone by the time I got on the Beltway. So I was home by like close to 2, but I literally couldn't fall asleep. And I couldn't tell you what time I actually fell asleep. And then I had to get up and, do my show and a show with London. And we're getting a lot of attention, as you might imagine, the last couple of weeks for good reasons. And they did it again. It's just, this is uncanny now. This is the most, I just tweeted this one. This is the most clutch Commanders team of my adult lifetime.
Oh, for sure. I don't even know that there'd be a competition for that.
No, nope. Not since the Joe Gibbs era one. Yeah. Like we haven't had a team like this or a season like this since I can really remember back to my childhood.
And I mean, obviously Jaden Daniels plays a big part of that. What else would you attribute that to besides him? And is there, or is it just like, hey, you got number 5 and that's all you need?
I mean, if you're being honest, he's a large part of it.
Of course.
But I do buy the culture, the buy-in, the chemistry, the veteran leadership in the locker room. Some of this feels kind of Gibbsian, like where he relied on veterans. Like he wanted people that he knew that loved football. They're going to show up every day. They can be leaders. Dan Quinn has leaned into that. Adam Peters clearly is into that too. They want people that they know, love football, super smart, all that stuff that Gibbs used to say. And they clearly are cut from the same cloth that way. I totally buy some of the time this stuff is coach speak, but in the case of Quinn, when you hear every player over and over cite the things that he has said that like gets them, to be motivated and connected and together. So I buy it. Adam Peters is very connected with this group. And then I think some of it too is, I want to credit the ownership here a little bit too, in a couple of ways. Like the relationship with the fan base needed to be repaired for a lot of reasons, not just by winning, but like in a lot of ways, like there were some, and they've gone out of their way to not just try to put a product on the field that could compete and win, but they've rolled out the red carpet to the fans and tried to welcome them back.
Right.
And they've, made upgrades to a stadium that no one loves, but they've put a lot of money into it. Light show, all the things that have done in that stadium. They've done a lot of things that people don't see at the practice facility that maybe you see a little bit in training camp, but we see every day that's very different to try to help the team make the product better for them. They have a lot of giveaways. They're open arms to the fans. Like they want you to be part of it. There's a different relationship with the alumni that I feel that's different to keep people connected to, the franchise. And then they've allowed to build an extraordinarily robust front office and a robust coaching staff. And they're letting them do their jobs. And it's all kind of come together to be a really feel good, wild run. And I don't know how this story's going to end, but I will say this, and I'm hoping that this is just the beginning of what will be a sustained run for this franchise where they're competitive every year. And this isn't a one-off. And I really feel like that's going to be the case. No matter how this one ends, I don't think any subsequent season is going to be like this. Like with these heartbreak, nail-biting, heart-wrenching, exhilarating wins that they've had.
But Bram, and it's funny, I agree with that. Like they could go on in a couple of years and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But you're not going to, and which would be a phenomenal finish to a year, but you're not going to have a regular season like this. And part of it too is it's almost like the football gods finally smiled on this fan base after kind of forgetting about them for a few decades, because it's not just that they've won 11 games. It's the way they've done it. And it's been an exciting team to watch. You have the young quarterback, right? It's just, so there's been a unique set of circumstances that I think if you want to draw this fan base back in, if they were, when Alex Smith was here, Bram, they were 6-3, but people weren't all that excited. So it's more, obviously then there was a start of ownership issues, whatever, there were other issues going on, but it just helps, I think, rejuvenate this fan base that the young rookie quarterback is exciting. This team is exciting to watch. This offense is fun to watch. And they win games. They've won games in dramatic fashion at home, at home. Like that's three of those, the three of those wins, like the Hail Mary, the Eagles game, this game, the Giants game in week 2, they've won those games at home. And I just think for this fan base, to energize this city, et cetera, I think it couldn't have worked out better in year 1 for this.
No, of course not. I mean, but I do think there's I believe in karma, don't you? And I think that there's some attached to it. I mean, go back to all the investments that the ownership has put into the staff that they've hired, allowing that staff to hire the people they want. Dan Quinn has a coaching staff with 2 ex-head coaches who are well-liked around the league. And Brian Johnson, who's been a high-level coordinator. The defensive staff, they were allowed to hire the people they wanted. Adam Peters has a massively robust front office. Like it's not just, they didn't say, boy, I hire you, go do what you want to do. No, they're like, who do you need to work with you? And then at the same time, they have really gone out of their way to tell the fan base that we understand, you need to believe us to come back and be part of this. And winning, of course, helps. And number 5 really helps. But their commitment to genuinely wanting to roll out the red carpet for the fan base again, I think is being well received. I think you saw it last night at the stadium in just what you had, which felt like a coronation. And when I got there, first time, we've had a few of these, but not a lot, where it just harkened RFK when I was a kid. Just everybody's wearing burgundy and gold. Everybody's pumped, hooting and hollering, walking around, expecting them to win, but knowing that they're going to play really hard. And second week in a row now, they overcome big deficits. I saw some stat that just came out. They had never in the history of the franchise won back-to-back games where they were down by at least 10 points. And they did it against one is a Super Bowl contender and the other one had their season on the line and still maybe a playoff team. It's pretty remarkable.
Well, and not only did they win those games coming back, there's no reason you should win back-to-back games where one, you have 5 turnovers in one and 13 penalties in another.
Yeah.
That really shouldn't happen, and yet it did. And it's funny because it's 2 weeks in a row where you kind of watch them early on. It's you start to think I don't know that they have it, but it's well, they always kind of find a way. Right.
Yes.
But that's the thing, in the past, these last 2 games, they could have come into there needing to win one of these games to make the playoffs, but 5 turnovers, they lose by 21 points. 13 penalties, they lose by 10 points and cite some bad calls, right? But this group, it just keeps pushing forward. And I think that's where it's unique. And that's a lot to do with Jaden Daniels, but it's not just him, because you still need others around you, like Olamide Zaccheaus. You need him to produce. Zach Ertz has been a really good pickup for them and consistently helps in the red zone. And so, like, it's all those parts. You still need the conductor, and that is number 5. But, there are other parts that make it go that I think provide not just the talent, but the physical, or the mindset that you need to do it. Watching, and Dan Quinn brought this up, and I wish I had talked about this on the podcast of the game, but, and just as an aside, part of the reason I didn't get to sleep till 4:30 is because, for people listening, I taped the show, and then right about when I was done, the internet went out, and so I lost it. So anyways, so it set me back by a little bit. Anyway, but one of the things was Mariota pulling Daniels aside after he got hit on the, late in the game or in the overtime, and just kind of telling him, just like, take a minute, get your breath, go out there and be yourself. But it's having veterans like that, I think, that make a huge difference. Daniels has the talent, but others have wisdom, and he pays attention to the wisdom. He really does.
Yeah. It's across the board too. I mean, Bobby Wagner hadn't played here before. I mean, everybody knows who he is. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's automatically come and been a leader. Frankie Louvu was a prominent signing for them. He's walked in the door, welcomed a leader for the team. Terry McLaurin has stepped right back into the place that he is. He's welcomed all of these people. He's not felt entitled to anything. It's a really, really cohesive group. It's been fun. When they first said it, like in the summer, like the teams come together really quickly, you have to see it to believe it. A lot of people say things like that. And there's a lot of coach speak and a lot of those platitudes that are put out there, but it's really real with this team, which is why, again, after the last couple of weeks, again, imperfect is an understatement for the way that they played and won anyway against really good teams. One of them really, really good team. Frankly, I don't know how far they can go. And, the year kind of started for me with, after the first couple of magic wins, I think Cincinnati was the first real one that we were like, oh my God, is this real? Mm-hmm. I felt really happy for us as a fan base, because I just felt like it was so overdue to kind of have some joy back, really, and something to not only believe in, but all of a sudden rally around. And for all those other reasons we talked about, it's like being built to be set up to welcome you back in. And then by the end of this, obviously I'm very happy for the fan base. I'm part of it, but I'm rooting for these guys. Like, they have earned this. Those 11 wins have not come easy. Like, they have really, really, really earned this. And I'm rooting for them now. And so, I think they got the rest of us behind them, because I am in full belief that I don't know how far they can go, and I can't wait to see what they do.
They're at best inconsistent against the run. And they actually did a good job against Bijan Robinson second half the other night, but it was only like 4 carries, one of which was that direct snap with the fumble, and the offense took care of that. But they're not stopping the run. They're struggling to get their own run game going. And yet, how many teams do you think really want to face these guys in the playoffs?
I don't think anybody would. Like, why would, I was just thinking about this today. Like, if Atlanta, well, actually, I think it will be in any case, either the winner of the NFC South, every wild card team is going to have a better record than them. So I think this is really wide open this year, because a 14-win team is going to be the 5 seed. That's crazy, right? I don't know anybody who's want to play Jaden Daniels in the playoffs. I mean, come on. Right. Like, if you're not paying attention, like, it makes me crazy that he's not in the MVP conversation after all of these examples of what he's done. Like, he's clearly the rookie of the year. That's not even in question. But, like, I think he should be discussed as an MVP. Who has done more incredible things than him? Like, how many times have we listed something? And the latest one was 5 touchdown passes with 30 seconds or less or in overtime. Like, who else has ever done that? And how many times have we said during the year, this guy's doing things that no one's ever done? I mean, honestly, I think if Tirico and Collinsworth were, slated to do more of their games, or they were on Monday Night Football more often, and the national audiences saw this like we're seeing it every week, I think they would call this a 3-man race to win MVP and not a 2-man race.
It's hard to see anybody who's more valuable. And again, I pointed this out after the game, but there are times like Zacchaeus has been a really good contributor, but is he a top receiver? No. At one point it's Zacchaeus and it's like Bryson Tremaine and KJ Osborne on the field in crucial situations late in the game. Like, please think about that. Like, this thing is powered. I think Kingsbury's done a really good job as an OC. I think a lot of guys done a good job for sure. But it's hard to disagree. And I think part of it, Bram, you know how this goes, like narratives form and people follow narratives. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, Jaden, but I think it's just assumed, he's the rookie there. Like he's sitting at the little kids table. Well, he's got a seat at the big boys table now, man. Listen,
100%.
the last 5 games, 15 of his 25 touchdown passes. I mean, he's been really, really good at a time when they really, really needed it the most.
You know what? The great quarterbacks elevate the players around them. I mean,
he does.
Remember last year, like Stephon Diggs left Buffalo, they traded him, and everyone's looking at Buffalo's receivers. Remember, and they said like, well, who are these guys? Well, they have one of the best offenses in the league. Baltimore rarely has top 5 wide receivers. I think Zay Flowers is very good, but nobody's calling him Jamar Chase.
Right.
And Rashad Bateman's their number 2. In Kansas City, now that Tyreek Hill is not there, they don't have a number 1 receiver. Nobody looks at them and goes, that's a number 1 receiver. They have Kelsey, who's a Hall of Fame tight end. They don't have a number 1 receiver on that team. And Jaden Daniels is proving he's one of these people too. Like think of one of the narratives that started this year. Who's the number 2 receiver, right? Remember we had that one? Who's number 2? And they said, everybody's number 2. And we all were kind of like, well, that means you don't have any number 2. Noah Brown became number 2. And we settled into, well, he's acting like one, behaving like one, and contributing like one. And then he got hurt and we went, oh God, they don't have a number 2. And all that's happened over the last couple of weeks is Olamide Zacchaeus is leading the team in receptions and touchdowns, and Jamison Crowder comes off the IR and has multiple touchdowns in a game. Jaden Daniels is elevating the players around him. That's what MVPs do. That's what great quarterbacks do.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's hard. I'm with you. I mean, he should be in that conversation. I don't think it should be a foregone conclusion. And listen, we know that like Lamar's had an incredible year. Josh Allen had a great year. Joe Burrow's had a great year. So that's fine. And so is this kid. And it's because of the dual threat he poses and just how he's elevated. Nobody had to elevate a situation like this one. And also you're coming into you're a rookie, you have a new offense, there are so many new parts here, and you're rebuilding a roster that won 4 games last year. So and I'm not saying that he should win it, but I agree he needs to be in the conversation because that's what his play is warranted. It's we talked about this last week, and it's like I kind of chuckled because it's amazing to think that we're talking about this at the end of the year because but it shouldn't be surprising given what we've seen this year. Like the arrow was always pointing this way. And the good thing I think for him, Bram, I think it's for his approach is highly sustainable. And I think that's the key here.
Yeah. His work ethic is there. His humility is unbelievable. He's a really nice, I hate to use the word kid because I'm old now. But he's a very nice young man.
Right.
And really humble, and continues to shrug off these amazing things he does as just, hey man, I'm just playing a game. And it's so beyond his years to walk into the NFL and be a top 5 quarterback overnight. I mean, the only other person I can think of who really did that was Pat Mahomes. Like even Peyton Manning and Troy Aikman had terrible rookie seasons. Tom Brady took a couple years to get an opportunity. Pat Mahomes was in his 2nd year when he actually got started, but it was, oh my God, who's this guy? And I think that's a little bit of this with it for Josh Allen. It took a couple of years to remember how inaccurate he was first couple of seasons. I remember the first couple of years he was playing, I'm like, that guy will never be good because he'll never be accurate. Well, he proved everybody wrong. this guy's jumping off point feels very Mahomesy, where you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at here. And I'm not sure what he's capable of because every week he keeps getting better and better. And the last 2 weeks was full on Superman. And I know he was asked about it and he always passes it off and just says, it's my teammates, it's not just me. But there were periods of time the last 2 weeks where he did things very, very few players can do. And whether he wants to publicly acknowledge that or not, I'll be the first to say it on his behalf. He's doing extraordinary things, and I hope he gets recognized for it because it's amazing to watch, and I'm privileged to be riding shotgun and calling his plays. It's really just remarkable.
Yeah, and like last year, CJ Stroud had a great rookie year. He was sixth in the MVP voting. Daniels has to be higher.
Yes.
And that's all there is to it. And,
I think it's Allen, Jackson, Daniels, Barkley. Those are the four.
Joe Burrow's in
Burrow
there.
5, but if Burrow's not even going to make the playoffs, I mean,
right? No, I know.
He needs either he needs Denver and Miami to lose just to get into the playoffs.
But he's in that discussion.
Well, he's had of course he's had an outrageous year, but like again, like he's got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
I know. He's still had a really good year.
Yes, he's been outstanding.
Let me say this: like Daniels is in that discussion. So
yes.
and there's no doubt. And it, like I said, the other thing I was going to say too, what from the start, when he came here for his first press conference back in the spring, and he talked about how I'm just here to do my job. And I remember there was some who took it like, like that they thought maybe he should have said more about that. And like, but in his mind, what he's doing right now is just his job. He's not, I wouldn't say he's not impressed by what he does. I think it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And he doesn't need to, as Zach Ertz said, he doesn't need to call attention. He's not a rah-rah guy. He doesn't need to call attention to his game because others talk about it for him. That hasn't always been the case here, but it's, you know what I mean? Like in his mind, what we view as extraordinary, he views as, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah. The other one too, that really stood out, it's become obvious that he and Bobby Wagner have gotten close, you know? And so here's a guy at the tail end of his career, however much longer he's going to play, Hall of Fame player, notorious work ethic, right? And, obviously it's a good idea to be friends with the star quarterback, of course, but, Wagner is not a very vocal, loud guy. It was a big deal when he spoke to the team after the Dallas game. Remember, they made a big deal of how he kind of stood up and said, look, like we have things, whatever he said in the locker room that really kind of rallied everybody, was made a big deal that week. And he's kind of gotten close to Daniels, and I don't want to speak for either one of them, but I think that this really is symbolic of Wagner recognizes his work ethic. That's what he actually respects about him.
Oh, for sure.
That's what it is. Like, and I'm sure they get along because they just get along because they seem like nice people that probably get along and play on the same team. But think about the age difference there, the place where Wagner is, the place where Daniels is now. Like Wagner's seeing the sunset of his career. Daniels is just getting started. Wagner hadn't been in this locker. He's new here too. And they've kind of sidled up to one another because I think they respect each other. And it's like a game recognizes game situation. And that to me is one of the most telling things you could have. Here's a guy who's a first ballot Hall of Famer who is looking at this rookie quarterback going, yeah, I respect him, not just because he's winning games and playing really well, but I see what he does every day in the building here. That's why I respect him.
Oh, I think the other veterans see that too. And I think that's what got them excited for sure. And it is funny because with Wagner and Daniels, like they go back and forth at each other. It is very much a big brother, little brother relationship, to the point where I even asked him last week about him. And he's like, well, he's annoying. And I'm like, well, what annoys you about him? Everything.
Everything.
But it's like, it's a big brother, little brother. And it's like, that's the kind of relationship they have. They'll sit there in the locker room and they'll bicker or, go back and forth about NBA topics or books or whatever. And it's just, but it's always something. And it's just, but you're right. Like, I think it all starts with the fact that they see what he's putting into it. And also because it's the way he treats them. Like, he treats them with respect. And it sounds simple to do that, but it's little things, the way he picks their brains, the kind of questions he asks of them, of him, of Zach Ertz, and Terry McLaurin, all those guys. He's always paying homage to Doug Williams. You know what I mean? Like, who's in the building, and he'll talk to him. Like, he's just very respectful of what others have done. He talked about his grandfather after the game and saying how proud it made him feel to see people wearing a jersey with his grandfather's name on it. It's his name. But it's like he views it through a different prism. So
Yeah.
like that's just kind of who he is.
He's very respectful of the history of the game. He loves football.
Yeah.
He loves it. He clearly wants to be great at it. And what's gonna like, and he won the Heisman Trophy, and he didn't walk in here, feeling as if he was entitled to anything, which gives me hope that all this superstardom that's about to come his way, because it's unavoidable, it's just obvious that I don't think it will, make him unmoored. And I think that that's really important here too. But who knows? He's going to have a lot of things come his way. He's not just an NFL quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner. He's a star NFL quarterback.
Right.
And we'll see how things, move on from here. But obviously, I'm very excited about all of it. And I'm so pumped to be back in the playoffs. And, this is different than the last time they were there. They were 7-9. They played Tom Brady's team in a stadium that was empty. You and I were like 2 of 100 people that were there, so we're going to play a real playoff game with, honestly, like I wouldn't want to play Washington if I was the opposition, because they don't quit. They've played the penalties and the turnovers the last 2 weeks. They had no business winning either one of those games. None. They did get one fortuitous one that really went their way that I think is really the game. That 3rd and 22 early third quarter holding call that gave them a first down, that led to the 8-minute drive to start the quarter to get them back in the game. Not that I have disbelief in Daniels no matter what the situation is, but man, was that a pivotal moment to give them a second chance at the opening drive of the second half.
Oh, for sure. It's funny because I was rewatching Daniel's game today. I was like, oh yeah, didn't forget about it, but you realize like, oh my God, what a mistake. And all the penalties at Washington, most of which were killers, that wiped out touchdowns, that gave them extra points, etc. That to have that, it's like, well, I guess maybe they were kind of owed one. But the last thing for me on Daniels is, you talk about because the future, we don't know how anything's going to go in the future. We don't know what's going to happen next year, et cetera, how he's going to react to things. I think it's all, but to me, it's like, why did he go into this? Is it, some guys definitely go in here and they want the lifestyle of an NFL player. Like for sure that exists. Those guys exist. He came in here for a different reason. And I think that's why he's been embraced here. It's not the fame and the fortune. He's getting that. It's accompanying what he does. But he came here because he loves football and he wants to be great. And I think when you combine those two things, and when you keep that North Star up, if that's his North Star, that's going to keep him moored. Now, it will be a challenge. Listen, it would be a challenge for anybody to get what he's going to be getting thrown at him over the next however many years, the money that they're going to get. Think about the contract that he's going to get in about 4 or 5 years. It's going to be more than double what you and I make. So,
well, speak for yourself. But, I think the other thing that really I think it resonates, and this has been for years in this market. I think every team's kind of different. Places are different. Like the blue collar hard workers have always resonated here, players of this team. Yeah. We've had guys with major personalities like Rigo come through here, but the guy, and he was obviously beloved. But Darryl Green, he didn't have a real big personality. Everyone loved his work ethic, and then add on this kind of extraordinary talent, especially his speed, and he became beloved. Art Monk was not a big talent, but beloved here, hard worker, like the Hogs. Some of them had personalities, you got to see a little bit of it, but mainly what everyone loved about them was this kind of cohesive, hard work, blue collar ability about them. That's what's resonated here, through the years, and he's the best combination of all of it. His head's down, he's there at 5:30 in the morning. He wants to be great at this. He's putting the work in, so much so that Bobby Wagner's befriended him and respects him. And it also, as it turns out, he's an incredible instinctual athlete. His instincts and the clutch gene are, I think few people just have this. I don't think it's taught. It comes with preparation, but then you get thrown out there and you just don't know what's going to happen. And this is year one where game after game, end of a game, got to have it. And he's got it every single time without fail. And it would, with the exception of last night, like it was the first time when they got the ball back, you know, at the end of the game with 1-something on the clock tied, I'm convinced he was going to go win. Like
for sure.
there was not a part of me that thought that they were going to go 3 and out, like none.
Well, in fairness, what he decided was, haven't won a game in overtime. Let's just do that instead. I'm sure that's probably going through his mind, right?
Yeah, the 2 breaks for them, they had a lot that went against them with all the penalties. The 2 breaks were that penalty, the 3rd and 22 penalty, because that's a 5-yard penalty, gave an automatic first down, second chance at that drive again. And the other thing that I think has just kind of been underrated for this, the time management by Atlanta's coaching staff at the end of both halves, both of them were. It wasn't the Bears, but it wasn't far off. Like they really mismanaged the clock on both sides and how they ended up in the first half with all 3 of their timeouts in their pocket. I'll never understand. And at the end of the game, by not using a timeout on that play in front of the Washington sideline that kept them in bounds and they let the clock run, they should have had at least 2 more plays, and maybe that end game field goal is from 40 and not 56.
Correct. No, they for sure bailed these guys out with that. I like Raheem Morris a lot and had a chance to see him before the game. Man, did they botch that one. So
bad.
There you go. But you know what? Sometimes I think if any fan base, if any franchise was owed some gifts or some help after what they've been through, it's this one. The Jets fans are sitting there saying, what about us? Well, you got a few more years. So
I'll tell you what, too, a closing note for you.
Yes.
This has been a magical season, a magical ride. No real magical Washington season is complete without a win over Dallas. So, and after hearing Dan Quinn say, oh, we're going for that. Like, there's no resting guys. We want the 6th seed. Good.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens this weekend.
Well, I think that 6th seed will look awfully nice for them. So anyway, Bram, thanks a lot for joining me, and thank everybody for tuning in. As I'm sure you guys know, there's not going to be a live stream Tuesday night because, Bram's got to go out to, Times Square, drop the ball and all that. You're hosted with Ryan Seacrest. I think that's fantastic. Anyways, so we're not doing it Tuesday night. I will be back on Thursday with Nikki Javala from the Washington Post as we start to look ahead to the playoffs. Also some Pro Bowl talk because that comes out Thursday night. So happy New Year to everyone. Thank you for tuning in this entire year. There's more to go, Bram. At least 2 more games, at least. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you next time.
There are some things in life that just shouldn't be forgotten, like bringing your keys when you leave the house, setting your fantasy lineup, and most importantly, having Hidden Valley Ranch to watch the game. Especially if you're having pizza. Those creamy, zesty, Cool Ranch flavors take each cheesy, melty bite to an unforgettable level. Hidden Valley Ranch, only serious about flavor.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to drive smarter with high-tech features and excellent reliability. Check out the Honda Civic, Accord, or HR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 4.99% APR on a 2025 Civic or a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Accord or HR-V.
See dealer for financing details. Exclude Civic Si and Type R.